What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? All right. All right, how's everyone doing today? We're going live. It's been a heck of a day, but we're going to go live. We're going to get that live in. Make sure we get it in before the day's end. Michelle, Jared left. Yes, he is gone, unfortunately. But you know what? He decided to move on, went full-blown social media mode, so best of luck to him. But actually, I'm sorry, he doesn't believe in luck, very famously, so, you know, best wishes to him. And yeah, I'm sure he's going to do great. Any new leases under 500 a month with 600 credit score? I mean, with the right demo and a little money down, you could probably get there. What is bro doing? Who's bro? You guys having a slow month? No, we're having a busy month, actually. I set aside time to go live and chat with all of you. Don't confuse that for a slow month, for sure. Is Jared coming on? No, Jared is not here anymore. Cars from Brad. Clayton, what's going on? How are you? Thanks for stopping by. We do need new salespeople. In fact, I will have to cut this live short here shortly to make a little video before I leave. We are hiring. So for anybody who is interested, right, if you're in the Cleveland area, obviously it makes it a little easier. If not, if you're willing to move, we are hiring. So that is, you know, but we have a very specific type of person that we're looking for, right? We don't just want anybody here. You've got to really believe in the mission and what we believe in, you know, because we're not like most car dealers, right? We do it very differently. What's a good car for a first-time lease? You know, if you've never leased a car before, if you're young, you know, I'd probably stay away from a luxury car. But if you're asking about a first-time Mercedes-Benz lease, C-Class is a great place to start. C-Class is a great place to start. Does MB do CPO leasing? No, they don't. There are banks that will lease pre-owned vehicles. U.S. Bank does some leasing on a couple pre-owned cars, but Mercedes doesn't do leasing. Now, the only exception to that is that if it's a former demo car, so a previous loaner car, then it can be leased and certified as well, right? So I talk about that a lot, especially for people who do high mileage driving. That is a really, really good option. Like cold calls? No, not like cold calls. So I'm not saying that having experience wouldn't, you know, be a factor for sure, but we're not just looking for experience. We're looking for the right kind of experience. We're looking for the right kind of person, right? Having experience is great, but if you're the wrong fit, then, you know, it doesn't really matter. What's the most expensive car that you guys have on the lot? We have a Hot Vautour Maybach, which is over $400,000. Nathan, I don't really have a preference between, you know, I think that the problem with a lot of seasoned sales professionals is that they're probably coming from a dealership that does business in a way that we don't agree with, right? They've got a lot of bad habits, so that is not necessarily always going to be optimal, right? So it just depends on, we'd love to have a seasoned salesperson, but that sometimes can backfire because they, you know, think they have all the right answers. They like doing it their way. They don't like doing it our way, and so it doesn't always work out the way that we want it to. But, you know, sometimes it does work out in your favor, right? I'm not saying it doesn't ever work out, but it's definitely a possible concern. So, you know, sometimes when you've got somebody that hasn't had car experience before, they don't have bad habits yet, which is always a good thing, right? So, Sergio, love what you do. I also sell cars from Mazda in Mexico. What do you think about Mazda in general? I think that Mazda's been doing extremely well in the last several years. Mazda's really coming on strong. They've got great product right now. I think it's definitely an up-and-coming brand for sure. I mean, it's always been a good brand, but they're one of the brands that's really making moves right now. So why does your dealership not pay commission to salespeople? Well, we do pay commissions. They're just not traditional commissions. They're not, they're not paid off of the gross of a car deal because they have no control over that, right? I'll argue that point with anybody here. That, I mean, a bad salesperson in the right store can definitely give away gross, right? If you're in a store that there's negotiation, but it is my belief and it is our belief here as a company that the demand for certain cars, the market's willingness to buy them, how well they're merchandised and marketed as used cars, and what we bought them for, that's going to determine whether or not we make any money selling it. That's not the fault of the salesperson, right? So their commission shouldn't be tied to whether or not the car was marketed properly, or if there's low demand for a particular vehicle but they are able to sell one, right? They shouldn't be penalized for that. And if there's super high demand for a vehicle and therefore the prices are elevated, they shouldn't be overcompensated for something that requires no effort to sell, right? So Terminator John got your Sealy 53. Congratulations, that's awesome. Where does my passion for the car business come from? Who influenced you that made you the most? So, I don't know, my passion, I mean, I started like a lot of people in the business where I needed a job, and I did love cars, right? So that made it I was naturally attracted to them as a possibility. But, kind of like a lot of people that get into the business, it never was meant to be a long-term thing. It was meant to be something that I did while I figured out what I wanted to do. But then what made me fall in love with it was just, and this is going to sound weird, but I fell in love with it because of how bad the industry is, like how bad most dealers are. And I became determined to prove to people that it didn't have to suck to buy a car, right? I wanted people to walk away from dealing with me and the dealership that I worked at and say that was the easiest car buying experience I ever had, right? That was kind of, because it's like, this is something that people get excited about, they want to buy, yet they dread the process. And that just bothered me, that you could have a product that people really loved and got excited about and was a huge part of their life, but then like the process of buying it, they dreaded and hated. That just was so wild to me. I really didn't, I was like, that can't be, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. So I wanted to change that however I could. And that's what made me fall in love with the business and stay in the business. And then what made me, when I started social media, I quickly realized, what, now I can reach people on a broader and a much grander scale. So, Shannon, is the mood different now that AMG Jared is gone? I would say, I don't know that I would say the mood is different. I would say that, it's definitely a little more focused around here maybe, but I wouldn't say the mood is different, right? I mean, we all like Jared. He was funny. He was fun to be around, but it was at the expense sometimes of a lack of focus. So, I like Jared a lot. Look, don't get me wrong. He and I, we worked together every day. We did a lot of videos together, a lot of social media together. We pushed each other. So I definitely, missed having him around. But at the same time, it was clear that his focus was starting to, be prioritized to other things, right? So he was not the top salesperson. No, he was not. Let's see what else is going on. I'm working 70 hours a week as a PI, only bringing home $60K yearly. We're interested in sales, but so scared as well. Yeah. So Nathan, I mean, look, sales is scary. It is exciting at the same time, because you're right. There is the chance that you make nothing or a little, but this is a get out what you put in business. Now, what makes it difficult is that it is, a lot of people that get into sales, they don't understand the path to long-term success, which is really focusing on your clients, caring about them, getting to know them, and actually creating a relationship with them, as opposed to just doing whatever it takes to get a sale, right? That's what a lot of people focus on, whatever it takes to get a sale, and then they wonder why they don't have referrals and people coming back to them over time. So, Zach, we've been busy. Where in North Florida are you? I would never buy a car from you, no offense, but you give me the creeps. Okay. All right, well, I get it. Not going to be everybody's favorite person. But you don't have to buy a car from me. You can buy it from any one of my salespeople, right? What's your favorite BMW model and why? My favorite BMW model of all time is the Z8. I know that's not a current model, but I just think that that was one of the most beautiful cars ever built. I thought that there was nothing quite like it. It just has a timeless design. It was low production. I just think it's such a special car. So, and you know, I'm a convertible fan, right? I like convertibles, roadsters, cabriolets. So really, really love the Z8. I think that's just an epic car. What do the owners of the dealership think of your internet fame? How has your new outlet impacted? Well, you know, of course, they love it, and they also want to make sure it's a you got to be, you know, they love the exposure that it brings to the dealership, but of course they also want to make sure that the sales team is on the right track and that they're doing the things they're supposed to be doing every day, right? So it's a delicate balance between making sure that my team is doing what they need to be doing and that I also can come on here and interact with all of you and make the videos. So it's, you know, it's a little bit of give and take. But overall, they're extremely supportive of it. Difference in payment for a traditional and high mileage lease depends on the model, but generally it's going to be somewhere between $100 to $200. So the lighted sign behind me was actually a local company who was a fan of mine, made that for me. Unbeknownst to me, he just sent it to the dealership one day. The name of his company is Monster Moose LLC, and super cool guy. He made that for me as a gift, and it has now become my logo, and I love it. It's super cool. And yeah, he does all kinds of custom neon signs, so check him out, Monster Moose LLC. You can definitely find him on Instagram, and I think he's got like an Etsy shop, something like that. But thanks to everyone who's hanging out this afternoon, this evening. If you're not following already, please hit the follow button. I would really appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button. I have a really cool YouTube video that'll be out later this evening. So, you know, make sure you're following me on YouTube because I can do longer videos there that are a lot of fun. But we go back into the service shop. I've had a lot of people requesting to get some service side content, so we're going to definitely work on doing that more often. Doug, what percentage of your sales are all cash? I would say we probably have about 20% cash penetration. 20% cash. Does your dealership, what are you talking about? Pete, I'm not sure if you're referring to Jared, he doesn't work here anymore. Do you think you'll close fewer deals because Jared isn't there? No, I don't think that at all. Did tariffs change anything for you? Well, tariffs have changed the overall market in general, right? It's raised used car prices. It's increased demand for current new cars because people want to lock in the pricing on 2025 models before 2026 has come out later this year, which are going to likely be a lot more expensive as manufacturers start passing along the the cost of the tariffs. And King Arthur, look, I'm not encouraging anybody to buy a car that doesn't need to buy a car, but I think that if you take the temperature of what's going on in the overall economy and you just pay attention to the news that is coming from all the automotive manufacturers, you'll notice the pattern, which is almost all of them held the line on pricing for 2025 models, and they're all assessing what the increase in cost is going to be on the 2026 models, right? And so I think it's fair to say we don't know what the impact's going to be. Obviously, every year you have normal year-over-year price increases, okay? But I don't know if this is going to be significantly higher than in years past, if it's going to be just a little bit higher. That is what remains to be seen. I'm always amazed at how different sales styles are dealer to dealer. I've spent 8 years buying a car. I've spent 20 minutes as well. How long generally are your customers negotiating? Well, so Xerxes, we actually, at the end of last year, we moved to a best price upfront model. We don't negotiate anymore. We just decided that, you know, we've always been a high volume store, but especially now with social media reach, we just don't have time to efficiently negotiate, and most people don't want to. So our model is that we have a legitimate best price up front. We don't move off of that number. If it works for you, great. It'll be the easiest car you've ever bought in your life. If it doesn't, we appreciate the opportunity. And it served us well. What it allows us to do is to truly give you an Amazon-like experience if that's what you want. Like if you want to buy the car from home, from your couch, you never want to go to a dealership and you want us to deliver it to your driveway, we will do that. We aren't going to force you to come here. We aren't going to force you to do this or that to get a price from us, right? The price is all online already for you. The only thing that we're going to be doing at that point is adding in maybe a potential fleet discount if you get one, if you've got AAA or Sam's Club or whatever it is, or if you own a business, right? We can apply those incentives. If we need to add shipping into the deal, obviously we can do that, but the pricing is all online. It's all on our website. And we find that by giving our best price up front, most people will pay less than they otherwise would have. A few people will pay more than they otherwise would have, and some people just won't do business with us. Because there are a very small percentage of people out there that are absolute grinders, and they will spend days, weeks, months even to save every last penny at the expense of their own time. There are some people that like to negotiate a little bit, and in the past we would give a really great deal up front, and then we'd go back and forth a little bit if we had to. But we've just found that we can't efficiently help people if we're wasting time haggling over a couple $100. So it's just not efficient to do it that way, so we don't do it that way. Ryan, all I can see is that your G-Wagon has been released to carrier as of yesterday, so hopefully it will actually be put on a truck here shortly. That's all I can see. Would like to hear your thoughts on the Tesla direct-to-consumer model. So Scott, I think that worked well for Tesla, but I think direct-to-consumer has its limitations, right? You don't really have the ability to. You don't really have legitimate service centers. You don't really have points of contact if you have issues. So it worked well for them for many, many years, and now I think the bloom is off the rose a little bit with Tesla, and now they're starting to realize some of the difficulties that come with having that direct-to-consumer model. So it's, it works for some businesses. I think that the dealership model works best for this industry, but if we want to make more dealers transparent and easy to work with, then it's important as consumers that we stop supporting the dealers that make it difficult for you to do business with them. And yes, you can spec a GLS 450 with massaging seats, Rohan. You can. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is leasing best to roll negative equity? Yeah. Topher, if you have negative equity and you absolutely need to get out of a car for one reason or another, either you hate it and it's making you miserable, or the car's breaking down and you just can't drive it anymore, or your lifestyle's changed and it doesn't work for you anymore, you absolutely must lease for multiple reasons. The main point is that you need to shorten your timeline to get that negative equity gone, because what consumers will do is when they're shopping for a new car, especially if they've got negative equity and they're going to buy it, they're going to take that finance term out 6, even 7 years to get the payment into a manageable area. And then what you're doing is you're taking that negative equity situation you have and you're like doubling it immediately. You're just making it that much worse. Okay? You have to be honest with yourself about what kind of car buyer you are. If you don't keep cars for more than 2, 3, 4 years, you cannot be buying cars. You just can't. All right. Now, if you're getting like a Honda or a Toyota, something that holds its value really well and is less expensive, so it has less depreciating that it can do, you can make the argument for buying. But if you're getting a luxury car, there's no argument you can make for me to not lease it. Right? Unless you keep your car 6 years or longer, then by all means, go ahead. If you lease a vehicle for a certain amount of miles a year and realize you're going to way overdrive, can you renegotiate a higher mileage contract for the remaining years? So chill background music, that's going to depend on the brand that you're leasing with. Now with Mercedes-Benz, you don't renegotiate the residual, but you can purchase additional miles and spread them out over the remainder of your lease. So if you have a Mercedes, for example, and let's say you contract for 12,000 miles and you realize that you're going to be driving 15, instead of taking that big, that one lump sum mileage penalty at the end, you can call them, you can purchase additional miles, spread them out over your remaining payments, and that way you can pay it kind of monthly and manage it a little bit better. So I'm sure there's other manufacturers that do that as well, but I can tell you with certainty that Mercedes-Benz does. Can you get window tint on a lease? Yeah, you can get window tint. You can get window tint. You can, paint the wheels, for example. You can do some minor cosmetic stuff. You just can't alter the car, right? You can't change the wheels, for example, and bring it back with different wheels. What if I want to lease and do 20K miles a year? Do it. I think people who drive 20 to 30,000 miles a year would be much better off leasing cars, especially if they want luxury cars. 100%. Brian, I really enjoy your content. It's straightforward and useful. In business generally, I own my own car, but live in DC and really drive less than 200 miles a month. I want a new car, but I'm not sure I should buy something new. Should I lease something from Mercedes or just stick it out for now? Well, Brian, that just, it's a different answer for everybody, right? It just depends on what will make you happy. There's a difference between wants and needs, and with cars, it almost always is a want and not a need. And certainly luxury cars are not a need. Nobody needs one, right? But people want one because if it makes you happy, then, go ahead and do it, right? If you're happy with the car you have now and you don't feel a rush to replace it, then don't, right? But some people, everyone's wired different. Some people can take a car and they can drive it for years and years and years and be happy with it. Others can't, right? Others they get the itch for something new. Amanda, hi from Massachusetts. Thanks for stopping by, Amanda. Good to see you. Thanks for everyone who's hanging out today. I appreciate it very much. Please make sure if you're not subscribed or if you're not following me already, please hit the follow button. I really would appreciate that, and make sure you're hitting the like button and the thumbs up button as well. That means a lot to me. That pushes me out in front of more people. So thank you for all the follows and the likes. It means a lot. It really does. Love the content and education for consumers. As a former GSM, I agree with you on leasing. Thank you, Mr. B. I appreciate that. Sam, what's the dealership like now that Jared has left? It's the same, but quieter. Are you quitting too? No. Thinking about trading my diesel truck, but it's still, hold up, it's deleted. How does that affect me? But it's deleted. I'm not sure I understand that. Billy, what's going on, brother? How are you? Good to see you. At Clips or EV Auto Alex. I'm not sure I know who Clips is, but I do love EV Auto Alex. He's a good dude. Oh, yes. OSU fan, Ohio State, all the way. Absolutely. Jason, thanks for all your videos. Never thought of getting a Mercedes since I'm a Lexus guy, but if I do, I'll give you the first chance for my business. Jason, I appreciate that. Absolutely. Looking back, I think I should have been more open to leasing. You have shown us it makes sense. Yeah, Don, I know I always feel bad because I think that people think I have some kind of agenda on here, but honestly, my only agenda is helping people to own cars that they want to own more responsibly. Because I think that what I've learned more than anything else is that consumer behavior, right? Like, we don't think logically about things that we want. We just don't. We think very emotionally. When we think emotionally, a lot of times we make bad decisions that cost us a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with owning a luxury car, right? If you want to own a luxury car because it's going to make you happy, then get one, right? Let's just talk through about what makes most sense for you. And what I've learned over the years is that a lot of people buy cars because they were taught that's how you do it, right? Buying, the way we feel about cars is not unlike how we feel about professional sports teams. It's like a lot of us just kind of grow up and we're told, hey, you're a Cleveland Browns fan because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, right? Or you only buy cars, you don't lease them, right? And so people never even consider it, and then they don't realize that would actually be a better way for them to buy cars. Here's a big one. What always fascinates me is how a lot of car buyers only consider one type of vehicle. Like, they either only buy new or they only buy used. And especially people that only buy used cars, I think a lot of times, for certain brands, they don't realize how much they are truly overpaying because they are unwilling to consider a new car. So, yeah, I think, Nick, and the other thing is that it's very important to separate that this is never like financial advice. This is never saying, oh, this is a smart financial decision. No, buying luxury cars is not a smart financial decision. Let's be clear about that, okay? The only smart financial decision is for us all to bike wherever we want to go or buy the oldest possible car that runs for cash and, drive that until it falls apart with no air conditioning. But that's not pragmatic, right? Nobody really wants to do that. So we have to give advice that is pragmatic, right? Advice that you're actually willing to do, right? It's kind of like lifestyle. Like, we can all agree that eating nothing but salad and drinking water and exercising 3 times a day and, going to bed at 8 p.m. and waking up at 8 a.m. is maybe the best way that you can live your life, but it's not realistic. People don't want to do that. So how can we live a life where we, improve our health, but it's not like going to make us miserable, right? So, you think this bow tie is very miley? Brad, love the videos. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Brian, I like your statements on changing the car sales process, compounds, etc. With that, why do you still desk deals old school versus using a digital? So we don't actually, we do use a digital retailing tool. So a lot of the videos that you see right now are before we went back to the digital retailing tool that we used to have. But part of the problem is that there are certain things that can't be done until a manager gets involved. So not every incentive is pre-populated into the digital retailing tool because some of them are very conditional. And it just requires a little bit of intervention from us. But trust me when I tell you that we try to remove manager intervention as much as we possibly can. RC, what got me to wear bow ties? So I started wearing them in 2014 just because I learned how to tie them. And I figured, you know what? I wear a tie every day for work. Why not wear a type of tie that nobody else wears, right? That way I can stand out a little bit. If people forget my name, maybe they'll remember the bow tie. Thank you, Dan. I'm glad you like it. So yeah, I just started wearing it to kind of have a little bit of a signature thing and just kept with it. So see, yeah, all of the available loaner and demo cars are on the website. There are more that aren't yet available to be sold. They have to meet a minimum service requirement before they can be sold. But if you go to the new alternatives tab on our website, and there will be an L at the end of the stock number, those are all of our demos and loaners. Mari, good to see you. How have you been? It's been a minute. EV owner, Tesla for 4 years. What EV model should I look at with Mercedes? Jimmy, just depends on what size you need. I'm a big fan of the EQS. That's what I drive. I drive an EQS SUV, but the sedan is amazing as well. I used to wear bow ties back in high school on days ties were required. Nice. I like it. What's up?
Nothing. You good?
I'm fine.
Yes, Alex. Next
Ro
Cars
is
and
watching
Coffee
live.
is June 1st. Hi, Ro.
Hi, Ro.
How's the GLC?
It's in the shop right now.
Uh-oh. What happened?
It has that software thing that happened with Alicia, who, I shouldn't say last names on live. Alicia's car.
Okay.
From Morgan Stanley, where the screen just goes black.
Oh.
But it's like a software glitch.
Okay.
So, they're keeping it overnight. She's driving a GLA. And I told her I love the GLA.
Okay. Yeah, it's no GLC, but it'll do
It's
right for the night.
transportation.
It is, and GLAs are perfectly nice. Sam, we are hiring, absolutely. You can find our job postings on Indeed.
I have an open desk next to my office.
There's an open is there? There's an open desk next to you? I don't know if any of you want to sit next to Colin. You'll never be able to think. Too much talking, too loud. Just kidding.
I know. It's all good. It's all for the views.
Let's see. I love your content. You're super transparent and are trying to educate. Renee, thank you. I appreciate that, and that's all I'm trying to do. What would you suggest to try to help in a situation? Friend bought a car from a dealership, and the dealership forgot to change the sales tax percentage at the time of sale. Now they want to void the signed contract and start over. Is that fair? I mean, if he signed the contract, then they have to eat it. We are in Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio. How many bow ties in the collection? I probably have, I don't know, maybe 50 by now. And they've all been gifts, by the way. They've all been gifts, which is cool. So all of my bow ties have been curated by friends and family and, social media fans, etc. So Alex, I haven't always been with Mercedes, but almost exclusively. I started my sales career for a short time with Ford. I was with Ford for about 3 months, and that's where I got, kind of the bug, right? I fell in love with the industry, but I knew I wanted to be with a luxury brand. I knew I wanted Mercedes-Benz, so that's what I did. I went and reached out to Mercedes, and then I've been with Mercedes almost ever since. There was a brief between leaving Columbus to come back to Cleveland. I was at a Porsche store for 9 months. So I was with Porsche for 9 months, but the other almost 15 years has been with Mercedes-Benz. So it's been, it's just an amazing brand. I truly believe it's the best brand in the world, because of the history of innovation, the cars, and the just selection. I mean, Mercedes truly has something for everyone. They have such a wide array of products, and I just love that. I mean, I love that, and they're more accessible than people realize. I mean, I think that a lot of people just assume they could never afford a Mercedes, and that's just not true. So I wouldn't worry about the software stuff. I believe in, I have that in my 5-year-old Legacy, although that's why I'm looking around. Great work. Our super low mileage leases a thing. So the lowest mileage leases that we have with Mercedes-Benz are 7,500 miles a year. Amanda's got a Porsche. Porsche's my second favorite brand. It's Mercedes, then Porsche, and then BMW after that. But so many good brands out there, but they are, Porsche's a fantastic, fantastic brand. Best Mercedes model to absorb 20K in negative equity, that would be one of our EVs. So an EQB would be a great way out of that. And yeah, any of the EVs. I mean, if you can make an EV work for 3 years, that is the best way to hit the reset button on your negative equity. Doc fees, if you're going to sell something, stand behind it as much as Doug stands behind Mercedes. There you go. I love it. Good to see you, brother. And yeah, that's an important thing, that if you're going to be in sales, you better believe in the product, because if you don't believe in the product, people will see that. Your customers, your clients, they will see through you, and they will know that you don't really believe in what you're selling. So, my passion for this brand has always been consistent, and I do truly believe that it's the best in the world. I really do. Alex, love the page. Currently work at a dealership in Streetsboro. That's awesome. All right, so we got a Clevelander here. Do you agree that you should not take a loan for a car? No, I don't agree with that at all. I personally think that paying cash for cars is silly, unless you're a billionaire and you've got more money than you know what to do with. But just very basic investing. The average rate of return will earn you more than interest is going to cost you for assuming that you've got good or great credit. So I can't make sense of turning cash into something that becomes less valuable every day. That's just me, right? Pool dock is in Erie Pa, as we like to say around here. When I was driving, we used to go up to Holiday Valley and Ellicottville all the time to go skiing when we were younger. We would always drive through Erie. We'd stop at the Quaker Steak and Lube at Peach Street. If living in an apartment is EV even feasible? Chris, it just depends on if you have a place, what your daily commute is, and if you've got, fast chargers around you. I mean, if you've got a fast charger around you, then 20 minutes out of your day, maybe once a week, and you can be charged back up. Nicholas, I appreciate that. Yeah, the Sealy 53 is wicked for sure. Absolutely. And Nick, I'm going to end on your question here. Any top tips for somebody starting in dealership sales? Yeah, the best advice I can give you, is this. When you get if you're starting in car sales, when you get to your new dealership, you need to identify who the top salesperson is there and study them. Ask them questions, watch what they do, listen to the questions that they ask, listen to how they handle their clients, and hang around them as much as possible, because success leaves clues, and hanging around high performers will help you to become a high performer. At the same time, you have to identify who are the low performers, who are the 6 to 10 car salespeople, and stay far, far away from them, because they will drag you down. They will have nonstop complaints, excuses, and reasons why they're not able to sell a lot of cars. And no matter how good of an attitude you have, if you spend too much time around them, they will eventually drag you down, right? People that aren't doing well and that like to make excuses and complain, like, misery loves company, they want you to be miserable with them, okay? So if you want to be a high performer, you have to look at what other high performers are already doing, right? The best advice that I've ever gotten, and the best advice that I always tell myself when I want to do something better, is look at people that are already doing it really well and study them, because they will show you the way. So I'm going to hop off there. I got on a little later than I wanted to today, but thank you for everyone who's a new follower today. If you're not following already, please hit that follow button before we hop off here. And or if you're not subscribed on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, please follow me across the board if you would. That means a lot to me. I really do appreciate it. And look forward to seeing you all on the next live. Hopefully that'll be very soon. But I just appreciate all of you very much, and I love that you can come on here and interact and ask questions. And I apologize for the ones that I'm not able to get to, but hope you show up next time and ask